Let's take a minute and talk a little bit about color. Of course, that's such an important element in the kind of artwork that I do. And I must, I guess, start off by saying I've never really had any formal training in the art world. Never gone to art school, and I think in a way that's almost an advantage because I don't know what rules not to break. So my color palette goes all across the board. I think the hue and the tone of the color generally cooperates, but I use sometimes just every color that in my entire palette in a single piece, and keeping in mind the fact that color has to balance. So if you have colors, let's say for example, my grandmother really always drove this home. If she were making let's say a crazy quilt, which looks random, but it's really not. It's all very well planned out, but it's just kind of odd shapes that are all put together. But that more than anything has to balance color-wise. So for example, if you had purple up in one corner, then you would have elements of purple balancing it, let's say in the other corner, and that might be some form of red, some form of blue together to balance this purple. So visually, you have this balance, and I do the same thing. Then on some of my pieces, I do things that are a little bit milder, almost pastel, depending on what the subject matter is. Some of the things that are a little more feminine or what have you, or the fairies, some of the angels, I want it to be not quite so bold, not quite so heavy, so the color palette will turn to tone down. And sometimes I'll do tone on tone, which is sort of emulates the thought process behind a style of quilting called a trapunta quilt, which is all tone on tone, and it relies on the almost bas relief of the piece itself. It's backfilled, so you have this heavy texture and this extreme design work and that's what creates the visual interest. And some of my pieces are like that. One thing that I always try to achieve, and this is the way I kind of test the piece as I'm going along to see if it's satisfying to me personally, is that your eye needs to move continuously around the piece without sliding off of the piece or without dwelling on one particular element. If it does, then you've missed the mark and you've failed on that particular piece. Now that element might be the best element on the piece, but it's out of place, because what you want your eye to scan this thing, and you want this element to lead you into that element. You want that design to lead you into this one, and this color grouping to lead you into that, so that it's continuously a point of interest throughout the entire piece. And it's similar to a good painting. A good painting will always keep you focused in the painting, and the elements of a good painting. And I do my share of painting too, and your eye will continuously follow itself from one element to the other. And if you can achieve that, then you know that your color's correct and your elements are correct.